The topic today is the relationship between the freedom of speech and the litigation that has been launched against not only not only against Kataria, Harish Sahani, Satya, and 100 John Does yet to be named. Indeed, if Kataria and Sahani had not fought and Satya had decided to join them, it would be only a matter of time before they would have, as Dr. Cooker pointed out, included all those who were opposing the present dispensation in our country. All those who are likely to be opponents of Ms. Sonia Gandhi. Of course, opponents here. I'm ready to oppose her all the time, but she doesn't want to take me to court because I don't need lawyers. I argue myself, and I use the court as a forum to argue the points that I've been saying in public. But because she thinks that you are busy people, you don't like the harassment of going to court, you don't want to waste your time on these peripheral matters, and going to court and sitting there for the day is a big harassment, and therefore you would surrender, and having surrendered, you would be an example for others, and the others would say, look what happened to these people, we don't want to get into this, better we keep our silence, let them loot the country, let them ruin the country. What we are sitting here in America, why should we oppose it? Let me remind you, the overseas Indians, particularly in the United States, played a major role in the restoration of democracy in the emergency. I had come here to argue the same question people used to ask us. We'll be targeted. Our passports will be cancelled. What is it that we can do here when you can't do it in India? I said, you have the freedom here to speak. Exercise it. It will develop its own momentum. And in the end, Mrs. Gandhi herself told me later on when she was re-elected in 1980, and she wanted a favor from me in dealing with China. At that time, I was chit-chatting with her and asked her about the emergency, and asked her, why did you do this foolish thing of declaring an election which defeated you? She said, the campaign let loose by the Indians abroad had spoiled my name all over the world, and that I could not continue forever without an election. That's why I did it. So the credit goes to you overseas Indians for the democracy, and today that same democracy is being threatened here. The connection between the freedom of speech and the Overseas Congress filing a defamation suit has been established by precedents in the American law. After all, what Sahani did was and his friends did, what Kataria did and others did, was to cooperate with people like Satya to put an ad in the New York Times. What has this got to do with freedom of speech? After all, you did exercise your freedom of speech by putting an ad. And now you're being made accountable for it. How does freedom of speech get threatened because somebody files a suit? A question can be asked. This precise question was raised in 1964 when the New York Times published an ad, like in this case, an ad about civil rights abuses in Alabama, and particularly targeting the police commissioner of the capital of Alabama. And that police commissioner went and filed a suit in the lower courts. And he claimed damages of $10 million. Those days, $10 million is probably more than $100 million today. The lower courts gave him the order, imposed the cost on New York Times of $10 million. They went and appealed to the state Supreme Court. State Supreme Court said, no, you have to pay. So they went to the Supreme Court finally and became the most classic and the most fundamental of cases called the New York Times versus the state of Alabama, the police commissioner of the state of Alabama. And this case is now laid the foundation for how to deal with defamation suits in the United States. In that, the Supreme Court said that publishing an advertisement against a public official is only defamatory if the public official first proves that what is stated there is false. First. Second, the public official also proves that the New York Times knew it was false and yet published it. And three, that despite the fact that the people, the defendants, knew it was false and yet in reckless disregard of the truth went and nevertheless published it. Now they asked the police commissioner, can you prove that? So therefore the case they set aside and said, go back to the court and start all over again and prove that the New York Times advertisement was false. This of course the police commissioner couldn't do. Subsequently, this New York Times standard, which is called actual malice, it is a technical term, but don't you confuse it with the dictionary meaning of malice. Actual malice means knowing something to be false, in utter disregard of the truth, nevertheless publishing it. That is called actual malice. New York Times, after the New York Times judgment, the Supreme Court in a number of cases has extended the concept of public official to public figure, basketball player, public figure, lawyer appearing in a public case, public figure. You can even slander a lawyer, provided you can show that the occasion was a public occasion. So a number of, it's been widened and widened and widened, and Sonia Gandhi comes in the category of a public figure without any doubt. And therefore, if this case has to be at all won, leave aside all the technical points very validly raised by Daya. If even those technical points are set aside, if the case goes on, Sonia Gandhi has to prove by herself coming on the witness box, has to prove that whatever was written in that New York Times advertisement was not only false, but all those John Does knew it was false and yet they went and published it. Can she prove it? This is what the New York Times said. At the pain of litigation, at the pain of being sued for what you speak, if public figures are allowed to go to court and sue for defamation, then it will have a chilling effect on public debate. And democracy runs on public debate. Why are they making a separate category for public officials? In the case of a private person, if he files for defamation, the other side has to prove. The onus is on the other side. If it is a public person, the onus comes on you. Why? Why this reversal of the burden of proof? The reversal is because a public person can call a press conference and say, this is a lie. I challenge the defendants to prove it. Sonia Gandhi could have held a press conference and challenged Mr. Kataria and his friends to prove, saying this is false because of the following reasons. All the things that are said there, I'll go over it in a minute, every one of them has been taken from written records, and the lawyers for Mr. Kataria and others have in their answer, in their reply to their original petition, have indeed documented how they have taken it from public record, which has so far not been contradicted. So the connection is that if you impose the pain of litigation in a matter in a public domain, then that has a chilling effect on the debate in the country, and therefore it is a violation of the freedom of speech, and therefore a single case like this Kataria case is one that will affect your freedom of speech in the end. It will let loose a feeling which will chill further incentive to debate and discuss. And that is why it is centrally related, and this topic that you have chosen today is the most appropriate topic. This is not a case of Mr. Kataria fighting and you are standing by him because you know him. This is a case for all of us. It is a case of your freedom of speech. It's a case that in future you can live in this country, even though you live far away from India, you can live here without fear of the long arm of the Indian government coming and strangling your opinion. Now, I want to know, you may want to know what the charges are. These charges, they have quoted me. Strictly speaking, they should have sued me. I was itching that they would sue me, but I was not sued, because I know how to handle this. Once Ramakrishna Hegde filed a 5 crore defamation suit, a 50 crore defamation suit against me. And I made his life so miserable that finally we withdrew the case. Many, many cases have been filed against me, and that's why finally all lawyers got together and told me, why don't you write a book? I said, I have no time to write a book, but I'll write an article. And if you go to Google and say under my name, you'll see how to fight a defamation case. Against public figures today in the United States, it's impossible to be sued because the United States New York Standard has made it impossible. But in this case, you not only does she have to prove that what you said is false and show that you knew it is false, she will end up in cross-examination admitting that all this is true. Don't you think that we have a right in this country to know the antecedents, for us to know the antecedents of our leaders in our country? You have a right. Sonia Gandhi, is that her real name? Sonia Gandhi, is that her real name? Her birth certificate says her name is Antonia Maino. Her passport application, Indian passport application, also gives the name as Antonia Maino. So why is this name Sonia Gandhi being used? All right, Gandhi I can understand, she married Rajiv. But why Sonia? Because Sonia is not even an Italian name. It's a Russian name. Antonia is an Italian name. So why is Sonia Gandhi's name, why has she taken the name Sonia? Where did this come? Lots of rumors are spread. But the reason is that her father was in jail for 4 years as a prisoner of war. He had signed up with Hitler's army. Hitler's army went into Russia. So in Vladimir, near St. Petersburg, he was taken prisoner and kept in jail for 4 years. But unlike in all other German soldiers, where Russians never released them before 20 years, in his case they released him in 4, which is taken to mean that he must have capitulated and agreed to become a member of the KGB, and that is why he was let off. So, therefore, he came back and changed, he gave the names of Russian names to all his children. Because there's one point which I don't want to really get into it because it's irrelevant, but I think I'll mention it. According to Sonia Gandhi's birth certificate, she was born on 9th December 1944. But at that time, her father was in jail in Russia. Now, unless like Jesus Christ, some mystery, some immaculate conception took place, I'm not able to explain how this is possible, that she claims her father is Stefano Maino, when her father was in jail at that time. That leads to another mystery. In parliamentary records, Ms. Sonia Gandhi says she was born in Urbasano, near Turin. But the birth certificate says she was born in Louisiana, which is on the border with Switzerland. It was a resort town for the German soldiers during war. So why should you hide your place of birth unless you don't want your birth certificate to be known or you don't want people to investigate? So I leave that as an area of speculation which not connected with the... Of course, if she comes on court cross-examination, then the lawyers have a legitimate right to ask her, where were you born, on which date, who is your father, and where was he at that time. These are all permitted cross-examination. It seems to be a problem with the Nehru family. Nobody knows who's his father and who's his mother. Now, another thing is says that Sonia Gandhi faked her degree, Cambridge University. Is that wrong? I got a letter from the University of Cambridge. She has given an affidavit, sworn affidavit as a candidate that I studied English in the University of Cambridge. And I got a letter from the University of Cambridge that there was no such student, ever. I went to court, and finally what the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court told me, be generous, Dr. Swami, be large-hearted, this is an old matter, leave it. Of course, subsequently, Sonia Gandhi has dropped from her affidavit the claim that she was educated in the University of Cambridge. That itself is an admission of perjury, because in one affidavit you say you were, in another affidavit you say you keep silent on it. It means that you have admitted perjury. But unfortunately, our society is not tough enough. In any other country, if you had faked your educational degree, or even in our country, an ordinary man who gets an employment by faking his educational degree, he loses his job. And the Supreme Court has repeatedly upheld that one of the most heinous crimes is to fake your educational degree to get a job. And here, somebody who wants to rule the country has faked it. The only objection I have to Satya's advertisement in the New York Times is he says that she passed high school. She did not pass high school. Beyond 5th class, she did not study. In this, she shares a common educational background with Karunanidhi. Now, it says in the advertisement that she worked as an au pair. What did you work, miss? If you were not studying in the University of Cambridge, you were 5 years in England, how did you support yourself? Don't you think we have a right to ask this question? Even in marriages, we ask these questions. Where do you study? Every detail is asked for. The antecedents are asked for. Why can't the antecedents of Sonia Gandhi be asked for? Where did you work? 5 years. Without a high school certificate, without a college degree. Where did you work in London? And for whom? The country has a right to know. I'm telling you, I have done an investigation. It is shocking what I found out. It is for her to say. If there's cross-examination, certainly she will be asked this question. Where did you work? Who were your employers? Can I not ask this question? If I apply for a job, the first thing they'll ask me who your previous employers were. And here you want to be the leader of the country. You have no right to ask this question. For that they are putting a defamation case in order to silence you, so that you won't ask these questions again. In the citizenship question, is she a citizen of India? She is a registered citizen, she got the citizenship by registration. Of course, after almost 18 years, after being in India. But in the form which I got a photostat copy, which is there in my website, I've scanned it. It says, have you renounced your citizenship of that is Italy? And what does Sonia Gandhi write? Not applicable. Why? How can you write that? A junior officer objects to that. Say, no, you can't write that. You have to present a certificate from your government to say that you have renounced your Italian citizenship. She produces a letter from the ambassador of Italy in Delhi saying that Sonia Gandhi has informed us that she has renounced her citizenship. And Indira Gandhi orders that should be accepted. Under Section 10 of the Citizenship Act, any irregularity found at any time in the citizenship forms filled out by the person is an offence and can lead to the cancellation of citizenship. A new government in India without Sonia's chamchas in it can easily cancel her citizenship with one stroke of the pen. The Home Minister can write, I, having satisfied myself that Ms. Sonia Gandhi did not fill the application forms properly, hereby order the cancellation of her citizenship. So, her future is very bleak in this. But you can ask a question. She has connections with KGB. Well, I told you, her father was in jail. She has been accused by a person who was appointed as a member of a commission to investigate KGB affairs in Russia by President Yeltsin, who then wrote a book in which he said Rajiv Gandhi and her family were regular recipients of KGB money. And they were paid through companies set up by the family. It's there in black and white in Yevgeny Albat's book, The State Within State, the role of KGB in Russia. It's there in writing. And Yevgeny Albat came to Harvard to get a PhD, and I ran into her because every year I go to teach, and I saw her. I asked her. She said, yes, I saw the documents. These were given to me as a member of the commission. Then I asked the Americans, do you have a record? They said, it's all there in the libraries. So I went to the Harvard Library, downloaded it, filed it in the Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court then issued notice to the CBI. Go find out. The CBI came back and reported the Russians are ready to give the originals and attest the copies, provided we give them a letter rogatory, which is a communication from the courts of India to the government of Russia. And that letter rogatory cannot be obtained unless you register an FIR. But the government of India refused to register an FIR, and that is why my case went by abeyance. That case can be revived any time. So what is wrong in saying KGB? There's prima facie evidence. It's for her to prove or disprove. She had received $2 billion into her name in 1991. Who says this? The government of Switzerland. Why do they say it? Because the Americans put pressure on the Switzerland government to tell them about Marcos, Imelda Marcos and whatever that other Marcos' name was. Fidel. Ferdinand Marcos. Ferdinand Marcos. And they put so much pressure that the Swiss authorities tabulated all foreign leaders who had accounts, illegal accounts, and they put the photograph of Rajiv Gandhi in a magazine called Schwester Illustrated. Schwester is another name for Switzerland in German. And that has in it a caption under Rajiv Gandhi's photo. He and his family owned $2 billion November 1991. And who was the beneficiary of Rajiv Gandhi's death? Sonia Gandhi. All that money has gone to her. All the money of Indira Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi. Most of the money of Sanjay Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi. Death is very profitable for Sonia Gandhi. I would say that any criminal case, the first suspect is always the beneficiary. Someday we may have to find out. So what is wrong in asking these questions? Antique smuggling. Her sister, Anushka, that's a Russian name. Her real name is Alexandria. But father gave the name Anushka. She has two shops in Italy. One is called Ethnica, meaning Rivolta, and another is called Ganapati, in the hometown of Sonia Gandhi's mother, or Bassano. And photographs have been produced, I've put it in court, and it shows antiques stolen from all over India. Who carted them there? The LTTE. People wouldn't believe me when I said that, but only now when the Italian government has announced that they have arrested 33 LTTE persons in Italy, that people have come to know, maybe there is something after all. Quattrochi used to sell weapons to the LTTE. And LTTE has a huge presence in Palermo and in Naples and Milan. Now, of course, the Americans have got tough with them, so all the European governments are now cracking down on them, including Canada. So, anyway, antique smuggling. Why should the sister of Sonia Gandhi have an antique shop in the first place of Indian antiques? So that these are smuggled, they will be kept in the shop, then they will prepare bogus bills and take it to London and auction it with Sotheby's and Christie's. This racket also I documented, court was convinced, issued notice to the CBI. CBI went to Italy, Italy wrote back, give us a letter rogatory. Need an FIR for that. The government of India said no. We will not register an FIR. The matter is there. No further. So, these are things which should shock you. Our own national wealth being squandered like this, taken abroad, stolen, put on Air India flights, using your government power to see it is not inspected. These are the things you got, that this is a bogus Gandhi, she's not a real Gandhi. I have only one dispute, by the way, with all these websites about the legitimacy of the parentage of various Nehrus and Gandhis. Rajiv Gandhi was not son of some Firoz Khan, as all these websites are putting out. He's the grandson of, or rather Firoz Gandhi was the son of a well-known lawyer of Allahabad called Kakkad. And Kakkad was also mayor of Allahabad, and once he defeated Jawaharlal Nehru in an election. So, of course, parentage has never been a strong point of the Nehrus, so we won't go into that and get into a lot of complications. Similarly, a question of Rahul Gandhi. Why is he registered as Raul Vinci, R-A-U-L-V-I-N-C-I, in some rock and roll Rollins College in Orlando or some place like that, which is a Christian missionary college? Why didn't he register himself as Rahul Gandhi? Why is it that he claims he's got an MPhil? Not there as a student also. Then his name is not there in the exam and the registrar's office of those who have taken exam. For the year he has mentioned, 95. So how did he claim his MPhil? He first originally came, he went to Harvard. Yes, he went to Harvard in the sense that when Rajiv Gandhi is Prime Minister, Hindujas gave $11 million to the Harvard Medical School, and on donors quota, he entered. Harvard has this quota, but then once you enter, then you have to compete. In 3 months, Harvard said, I don't think you really belong here. So he dropped out. So now he doesn't use the word Harvard. Unfortunately for him, someone like me is in politics in India who has long-standing connections with Harvard. Why you tell lies like this? Because in our country we respect education. We respect the Pandit. So you tell a lie about your education. All of us work so hard to pass examinations, get a degree. These guys don't do anything and they put themselves a degree in front. Is Rahul a citizen of India? Well, he was born in India. But then the Italian law says that if your mother is an Italian citizen at the time of your birth, which is 1970, which time Sonia Gandhi was a citizen, then you automatically become a citizen of Italy. And the law in India says you cannot be a citizen of India unless you renounce the citizenship of another country. Rahul Gandhi has never renounced that citizenship because you are required by law to declare and give a certificate from the Italian government, I have renounced my citizenship. In fact, he uses an Italian passport in the name of Rahul Vinci. Any time tomorrow a government comes to power which is doesn't have their sycophants in that government, or those who are blackmailed by them in the government, then you will see Rahul Gandhi also, you can send him off saying, you are not a citizen of India. One of the things that they have secretly kept, which I have fortunately got now, Rahul Gandhi had gone and got admission in St. Stephen's College on 2 grounds. A, he was a Christian in record, and B, he was a marksman rifle shooter. So on the sportsman quota he was given admission, not on grades. But he failed there because he couldn't pass the Hindi exam. And he is representing the state of Uttar Pradesh today. This is the person who needs to be shown that he has nothing to do with Gandhi. Gandhi was a man who became barrister, made a name as a lawyer in South Africa, gave it all up for the country. And you come with using that name. The Indians have a right to say you are an imposter, you don't belong here. Rahul Gandhi was arrested in Boston airport. He had $160,000 in cash. In the United States, you can't enter with $10,000, more than $10,000 without declaring it. He didn't declare it. Got caught. He had with him a friend by name Veronique Cartelli, citizen, passport holder of Spain, father Colombian. Cartelli means drug mafia. And he had something else with him, which has not been identified. The FBI arrested him. 27th September 2001. They said the SPG, which they have, this, like the royal family, all the families, including their dogs, get SPG cover. So the SPG said, no, he's the son of the former Prime Minister. The FBI said, we don't care. Broken the law. 9 hours they kept him. The government of India intervened. Condoleezza Rice was told this would affect the Indo-US relationship. And then the FBI was told, let him go. The FBI registered an FIR, the equivalent of an FIR. I don't know what they call it here, criminal case or whatever. And then said, whenever you want, we can call you, but you can go. So they let him off to go back. I wrote, my friends here filed a Right to Information or Freedom of Information Act application with the FBI. FBI said, we'll give you these records, provided you get a no objection certificate from Rahul Gandhi because it's personal to him. That's the law. So I wrote a letter to Rahul Gandhi. If you have nothing to hide, give us the permission. He never replied. But everybody knows this is in record. There's nothing to hide here. $160,000 in cash. How do you carry so much cash and what for? The only thing to be Indians have a right to know whether Rahul Gandhi is married or not. In his house in Tughlaq Road, Tughlaq Lane, there is a foreign woman there. Her name is Veronique Kartheli. Is he married to her or not married to her? Or is he living with her? Can you not make that public? What will people of India think? Rajiv Gandhi's wife foreigner, Rahul Gandhi's wife foreigner. Can they not find Indian girls at all? And what about the antecedents of this Veronique? The daughter of drug mafia? So we need to know. These are things we need to know. Even in marriages, I said, we find out these things. The advantage of an Indian is, I can go to my village and find out, to the village of the person and find out everything about him. I meet so many people say, oh, I'm from Madurai, I know you are from Mullipalam village and you know you are living in you have a house in Agraharam street, everything. Everybody knows about everything. You can trace people. But when you're a foreigner, you have to be doubly careful. You have to be doubly watchful. In this case, Qatar is going to win. Qatar and friends are going to win hands down. There's no doubt about it. There's no case. Half the reason is Daya is given to you. What is the locus standi? How can somebody file on basis of somebody else? But there is also this active malice. Prove it. You can't prove it. The basis is there. I am in fact telling Kataria, please don't get it dismissed. Make her come as a witness and I will help you. But it may not be possible because the judges also say, why should we waste time? Yes, perhaps it's possible. I don't know in American law, but in Indian law and British law, if you file a $100 million suit and it turns out to be vexatious, turns out to be without basis, then certainly 10 million you will get. $10 million as cost. American law is a little more complicated, but still it was worth examining. In the end, Surendra Malhotra should be asked to pay from his own pocket because I'll tell you, Sonia Gandhi's mentality, the moment Surendra Malhotra will start losing, they will expel him saying that it's unauthorized he did, he has nothing to do with the Congress party. They will dissociate themselves. So those of you who are friends of Sonia Malhotra, tell him that he will be the Balika Bakra. Better he makes up, he apologizes to Kataria and gets out. But Kataria has to fight, Sahani has to fight, Satya has to fight. That means going to court, hiring lawyers. They have hired very first-class lawyers, really good lawyers, Kornstein and company, very good people, very committed, very well-read. Many of them have got Harvard law degrees. And I was impressed because I met them. They invited me as a consultant and I had a session with them. But they cost money. They are not going to do free. They cost money. Then if these people actually fight it out, there will be an appeal. They'll go all the way to Supreme Court. There will be a big budget. So this is your fight. And therefore when you start donating, donate liberally. Because this is a fight to the finish. You establish this time that you cannot file such cases. Never again such cases will be filed by anybody. This will be the outcome. Just as I have proved in India that after Ramakrishna Hegde had to humiliate himself by withdrawing the case, since then nobody is daring to file cases even though I make statements. Of course I never make irresponsible statements. I back them with data. You have to establish these lampposts. After the New York Times standard, nobody dares to file cases against the media in this country because they know that the New York Times standard is there in the background. Same way, this time also, if this happens, the people in India will know that through the Consul General and through the ambassador and through by using their levers, they cannot blackmail the Indian community into submission, and this will be therefore a fight for liberation, and this fight you must fight with all that you can spare, back them